Holy house, snake like I can be, Batman. Tiki here, and I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman Beyond for the first time. Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Well, you see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way, but that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
Tonight we're talking about a pretty major crossover event. It's a Static Shock episode. Future Shock. All right, Dragon, you're gonna have to lay some groundwork on the background here because we are in unexplored territory, my friend. We have gone past season 3, and we are into I guess you would call this the crossover era, the supplemental era. I don't know, Dragon. The epilogue era, is that appropriate?
Tiki, that is very appropriate.
The epilogue era. Okay,
we're
in the epilogue era, folks.
I'm sure the folks out there know why the epilogue era is the perfect title, but Tiki, that is exactly why this is the epilogue kind of chapter of our story.
Okay, well, set the groundwork, Dragon.
You mean with the back? You mean with the context on this episode? Or you
Yeah.
with the whole episode? Okay. So so this was direct. So again, now we're in a Static Shock episode, kids. Okay, this is Batman Beyond has wrapped up with season 3, and we talked about the movie. So now we're in kind of like the supplemental stuff, kind of the things that are left, and this takes place after Return of the Joker, so it's appropriate that we kind of saved it for kind of after things. So this is the director on this episode was Static Shock director Vic Dalcelle, if I'm saying his name right, Vic Dalcelle, nice. Who did two really notable episodes. Did Out of Africa, which was basically Static crossing over with his African mentor, Anansi the Spider, who, if memory serves, was also voiced by Carl Lumbly, I believe. I could be wrong about it. I'm pretty sure it was Carl Lumbly. Martian Manhunter.
Oh.
And one of the great episodes that he directed was Kidnapped. That was the episode. I want to say it was season 3 or 4. It was probably 4 because it's kind of like when we're approaching the end kind of story. It's when Static's father was kidnapped and he found out that his son was Static Shock. Well, was Static. Sorry, I got to stop myself from much like Batman Beyond and with Static Shock. Technically, the show name is not the character's name. It's kind of an instinctual misconception that everyone has to stop themselves for. But yeah, so Robert Hawkins did find out that that Virgil was Static and vice versa. Uh-huh. It's a big episode, so we had a really good director on this, and the writer on this episode was Stan Berkowitz. That's right, Da Burke, aka writer from Burke. Of course, Stan Berkowitz has written many good episodes, and he's been attached to some not so good ones. Some examples of this being he did The Call, great episode, kind of a Justice League crossover episode. Where's Terry, a personal favorite. Mm-hmm. I believe April Moon, but I'm just going to throw that out there.
April Moon's a personal favorite of mine, man. That one's underrated.
Yeah, I know. I love it, too. We get some Bigley in there. Then we also have, again, I bring this up for relevancy purposes, Curse of the Cobra Part 2, which he was kind of saddled with, but he was involved.
I will say right off the bat, I'm going to say this is probably my favorite use of the Cobra out of all the times that we've done them in this late era of Batman Beyond stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly, I feel like they went full in on the cheesiness in this episode in a way that they hadn't really done so before, and I kind of dug it.
Now, a big thing in relation to Static that we should mention is that Stan Berkowitz wrote the pilot for Static Shock.
Uh-huh.
Which is a very solid pilot. I'm going to throw that out there. So, Berkowitz, he's gotten around the DCAU. So, yeah. So, the studio worked on this. And in Tiki, it's the same old record. It's Dong Woo! Psych!
Oh, my God!
It's Dong Woo! Animation Limited!
Holy crap!
Now, we've talked about Dong Woo briefly before because Dong Woo, in addition to doing 2 episodes of the Zeta Project, did the other Batman Static crossovers. Did Big Leagues, which is the big introduction, and Hard as Nails.
Uh-huh.
Now, some additional, not a whole lot here, just something that kind of ties into what I just said with the animation studio. Fun fact, each season of Static, after the first season, which of course gets the ball rolling, we open on the pilot, as you can probably imagine. Every season starts with a Batman Static crossover. So this is the third. This is the season 4. So this is the third time they do it. And of course, with the Batman going the way it went, we would go to Batman Beyond logically. And yeah, that's the thing. The reason, one of the reasons for that too, by the way, I'm not saying like, obviously you don't want to start Static with like a crossover with Batman in the first season, but fun fact: Static technically did not start as a DCAU show. Static got folded into the DCAU because this is when before Milestone was absorbed by DC.
I think we've gone over this before with Static, but yeah.
Yeah, like the first season of Static, they basically, there were some references like Clark Kent being Superman, which they kind of had to backpedal a little bit, But yeah, so kind of a few things like that. So this is set. This episode happened in 2004. So Batman Beyond wrapped up in I believe 01. It wrapped up in 01. So this is in 04. So this is after Justice League wrapped up and basically towards the start of Justice League Unlimited. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of just in terms of like the DCAU and how it's flourished. Mm-hmm. And there's I want to earmark that for the next episode we're talking about. Again, this is right towards the start of the JLU.
I feel like this is from everything you've hyped up about the next episode. This is kind of the appetizer, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. And again, you're probably wondering, some people might be wondering why they're talking about this episode before this other episode. Well, again, this episode I specifically wanted to wait for this one because of how we put Static into play here. All right, so one little side note. Technically, so again, as far as Batman goes, I was right about the last time we see Commissioner Gordon, but this technically, even though it's a non-speaking role, this is the last time we actually see Commissioner Gordon, aside from that picture on Barbara's desk. This is like the last time in the DCAU period, like the last time we see the man across everything. It's this, along with Tim Drake Robin. Last two times, this is the last time we see those two.
All right,
that's it.
Okay, and I realized that I forgot to give my thoughts on the episode proper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really liked it. Like I said, the Cobra stuff did work out for me better than other times. I don't know, Dragon. I think it's just kind of like the scale of Cobra in this episode mixed with the fact that we do go full Snake for once. Unlike that other episode where I was promised full Snake, but I did not get full Snake.
Yep.
And naturally I feel like Conroy's got some really good dynamics. There's a really priceless non-verbal great Conroy moment. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, just so overall this episode a lot of fun. Can't wait to break it down. So let's shout some people out in the comments here. We have Warp Monarch saying Static Shock really tied the entire DCAU shows just as much as Justice League did. And yeah, I tend to agree. I feel like Static really is kind of like he's almost kind of like the Ant-Man of the DCAU. Is that a good comparison point, Dragon?
I mean, I'm on board for it. I don't know how many other people would agree.
Just as far as what I mean by that is just as far
he's very
as,
likable
and the sort of character you can just kind of tap into anywhere.
Well, that's the thing. Static, he's likable and he's got mass crossover appeal, which you could say about Ant-Man.
Exactly.
I would concur with. I mean, I've never met a person who just outright like I don't like Static, because that's the thing. A lot of people
exist, Dragon.
Well, I think over the years people have kind of realized that there's a lot of intentional or no. I mean, we don't get Miles Morales without Static. I mean, Static really paved the way. He was DC Spider-Man to a degree. He was that's kind of what he was, at least in animation.
Okay, we got Kogias. He's he pointed out the same thing that you pointed out about Batman and Static having a lot of crossovers. He's also saying I think it's appropriate to be doing a Batcave Beyond today because Kevin Conroy's last performance as Batman just came out.
It did come. Well, it came out today digitally. I won't be able to see until it comes out physically. But yes, I couldn't find the clips of it. I don't want to spoil myself on it though. But yes, it's from what I'm hearing, it's going to be really impressive.
Yeah, we'll see.
At
We'll
the
see.
very least, his moment in the movie. But I have not. Again, I've been holding off on it.
And yeah, the Cobra is kind of like Hydra before Hydra in a way.
Well, particularly in the escape scene here, where it's very much kind of a Hail Hydra, like they're everywhere kind of thing.
All right, and Little Blue saying, yeah, Little Blue, we did cover Batman versus the TMNT,
I really
one
like
of
that
the
one.
better Batman crossover events.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dragon, without further ado, you want to get right into it?
Let's do it. So we start not in the future, not yet at least. We kind of flash back here. It's a static show, so we don't have to necessarily. It's not Batman Beyond quite yet. So we're in Gotham. We see the Gotham Warehouse District. Tiki, we're revisiting it. What's the first thing that we see?
Honestly, Dragon, the whole like first couple minutes of this episode legitimately did feel like a homecoming of sorts.
Yeah.
We got Gordon there, non-speaking
Yep.
role, but still he's there. It's great.
Let's see. They got the Gotham Warehouse District in a post, the new Batman Adventures period, pre Return of the Joker flashback. It's kind of where we're at. Static. He rips the roof off off the metal warehouse. Batman and Robin can stop this villain, presumably a static villain named Time Code. Now, whether he's a scientist or a bang baby, they don't really say, but I believe I'm leaning towards scientist because I don't really see him like using powers or anything during this fight. Anyway, we have a newsman do all the exposition here. Basically while Batman hands Time Code over to Jim Gordon. So again, last little moment of Batman Gordon kind of interaction there, briefly, a little non-verbally. Let's see. So
I kind of wish we lingered on it a little bit more, but it's still nice.
yeah, it is. And honestly, it's that they didn't have Bob Hastings doing that. He wasn't. I think he was kind of retired at this point in time. Like Bob Hastings, the last time he voiced Gordon, I think technically was. Might have technically been 2003, which is a year before this, with some of the supplemental stuff like Return of the Batwoman. I forget what the year on that was. I'm pretty sure that was 03 because technically it was after they had the Batman Beyond design, which kind of got folded into the Batwoman's look. So I'm pretty sure that was like a post Batman Beyond project they had, and that's why we have kind of a similar animation style and everything. The point, sorry, I'm rambling on. The point being, yeah, so that was the last time we actually had Gordon like in a project doing the voice and everything. If you want to be all chronological about it. So Hastings probably retiring and from the role and probably from acting period because he's getting a little up there in age. That's probably why we don't have him do. We don't really, or we aren't able to linger on, sadly.
All right, but still, we have some nice crossover action here as Static comes in.
Yeah, we exposit that Time Code's whole scam was that he was gonna like offer fugitives a way out. Basically, he was going to be the disappearer. He was going to be Ed Gilbreth from from Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul. He was going to disappear criminals into the future. Anyway, so again, we have this fun little reveal that the report's going on. Well, we're in the Batcave.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in the Batcave, and Robin is
just
upset.
make a note of how nice and casual it is that Bruce Wayne, Robin, and Static are all hanging out together in the Batcave.
Yes, that's the thing. I love that. Basically, Batman's interactions with Static are kind of a fun of Static because it's like he's kind of mentoring the kid under this really casual thing. So because he's just like hanging out in the Batcave. It's nice. I remember that time with Alfred though, like in the I believe it was Hard as Nails. We had the gag where Static comes to, he got wounded, and he was in the Batcave, and Alfred's like, he's just like, "Who are you?" "I'm Batman." "I don't think so. Just once, I'd like someone to believe that."
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so Robin is upset because of like, and his young friend, his young accomplice, is like, I'm his sidekick and really nothing, no name. Give me my toolkit, Boy Wonder. Good old Batman. So let's see. So Batman warns Static to be careful with the time travel device because with Time Code's device because there's a glitch. He says, "Well, we pulled the plug on it." "Yes, sorry, we pulled the plug." "Or didn't you notice?" It's like, "There's an internal power source." "Or didn't you notice?" All right, so we have some Robin sass
We
going
do.
on here. Yeah, just like he's learned science from Nobel laureates, kung fu from masters, all martial arts from kung fu masters, and manners from a crocodile.
Right.
So Static suggests, well, look, this is nice here. This is a wizened Static because we're in season 4 of Static Shock here. He's come along. He's got a new costume. He's growing. He's gonna telling Robin, look, he's only harsh because he's teaching you stuff. He's teaching you. You're kind of lucky.
Mm.
So then we have this. This is a really, I gotta be
Yeah, I
honest,
do
this is
like that little moment there.
yeah, it's really nice. I love this Batman mode. This is like Batman to a T, and what I want a Batman Static crossover right here. I love that we got it, even though he's not really paired with traditional our younger Batman through the duration of this crossover. We've already had 2. We don't need it. That's okay to shake it up. I'm just saying, I do like that even in this brief cold open, we have a moment that's like full on, like Batman has triggered the glitch by accident. And he's
So
about to be
what I
pulled
really
through.
like about this whole sorry.
No, go on.
What I really like about this cold open is just the fact that it's honestly just really abrupt, and it's just kind of like, okay, we don't have a lot of, we're gonna get just enough of the pleasantries in the Batcave and the kind of setting up that Static doesn't have a mentor and he needs a mentor. And then we're just gonna go right into it because why? Because some sort of weird time glitch shenanigans. We don't care. We got to get him to the future through some weird worm portal thingy. I don't know. I
Admittedly,
like the urgency of it, Dragon.
no, that's the thing. You're right. The urgency is great, and there's definitely kind of a network mandate of okay, we have a new Batman show we need to advertise, and we're not just trying to revive the old stuff. So we gotta fling this kid into the future pronto. How do we do it? There's a guy named Timecode. Do we know anything about him? No, there's no time. We don't care about Timecode. We gave him the most pointless, basically VHS VHS name we could possibly give him.
Right. So
Anyways,
yes, I do think that it works, and honestly, I do think it makes the jump to the title sequence really exciting because you're like, okay, here we go. Like, yeah, Static Batman Beyond crossover. Let's go.
Okay, 2 things I want to mention before we get into the actual big crossover of the episode. One, again, great Batman Static moment to a T here, where Batman triggers the glitch. He's about to be pulled through time, and Static saves Batman. And Batman, just knowing what's about to happen, is like, "No, stay away!" And Static just barrels in to help him because he's his friend, and I love that. So he frees Batman, but in the process, he himself gets pulled through time. The curse of Phil Lamar. He will always be pulled through time into the future in a black and white kind of effect. It's just you're gonna see that maybe in the next episode as well. He just can't escape it. It's the curse of the Phil Lamar roles. He plays a cool character with a cool voice getting thrown into the future. Where'd he go? Not where. When. I don't know. It might be a Greg Conroy contender for the verbal. I don't know. It's pretty.
Nah. It's good, but we got better Greg Conroy stuff coming up. Come on, be patient with Greg Conroy.
All right. Okay, so Static. He ends up, which by the way, is the shout out to again, because we only talk about 2 other times. Static's opening still so catchy,
and also just very, very because at this point we've kind of gone into the 2000s, and I feel like it is very of its time in a good way. It feels like a time capsule of that kind of energy that cartoons would have.
Yeah, plus I think with this one we had the Little Romeo update on it. They had it's the okay. Anyway, very of its time. So we're in the future. Static, again, time and space, the way it works. Static, he is still in the Batcave, just 40 years from now. So we're in the 2040s, and so Static. Static comes to, and Terry McGinnis Batman is attacking Static. He has kind of traditional meet cute for superheroes, very Marvel kind of vibe here. Static just he's like, look, Batman doesn't like guests, whoever you are. You should be treated as guests like this. And I love that Static is so kind of used to the Batcave, he's used the giant penny to avoid the smoke bombs.
No, I knew you would love the giant penny, and yeah, it's a great use of it. Arguably, maybe one of the best uses of the giant penny. Yeah. Like you said, specifically because of how casual it is.
Oh yeah. So he's evading some tear gas. Batman, this is you know how Batman feels about you treating his guests. Like, one, there are no guests here, and two, I'm Batman.
If you're Batman, then I'm Beyonce.
We know Doctor Strange appreciated that line.
Well, Wong specifically.
Well, no, Doctor Strange he started that though.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Wong likes Beyonce though. After hearing that, this is like, okay, Beyonce, really? Come on, man, listen to the music. Anyway. Okay, so Terry, Terry takes this literally that his name's Beyonce, which is pretty funny. It's
that is honestly really freaking funny. I just love hearing Terry in his still very stoic Batman voice. He says his name is Beyonce. That's definitely a runner for the best out of context line in the episode.
Oh yeah. And again, it's a crossover vibe because Batman wouldn't, in a Batman show, you'd never have that line. Only in Static could you get away with that.
You're
line.
absolutely right about that. Yeah, that's totally true.
Yep. All right, let's see. So Terry here, nice move on Terry. He throws an exploding batarang towards the ceiling of the cave, so it basically Static. Even though he can evade him, he's going to be kind of hit with some rubble. So Batman has the upper hand. The two are going at it until old Bruce Wayne enters, saying, "That's enough." There's no time for this. I need you. Both of you. And I love he's pointing with the cane so you know it's serious. All right, so Terry.
He seriously got some great duck action with that cane in that shot specifically.
He does. He often does. All right, so Terry says, you know this kid? He says his name's Beyonce.
Oh, God.
So Batman.
Jesus.
So Bruce clears this up, saying Static. Wait, Static's an old guy though.
Go Gias points out, and I totally forgot, because I associate Beyonce with of course nowadays, Dragon, I associate her as the fantastic voice of Nala that should have gotten an Oscar nomination. Obviously kidding. But did you know that they literally tried to campaign for your consideration campaigns for literally everyone who voice acted in that movie, Dragon?
Well, that sounds like a waste of money.
Yeah. Well, anyways, and now look at where Disney is now. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Beyonce, I always associated with Austin Power and Goldmember, but Kogias is pointing out, was she in the first Pink Panther film with Steve Martin? Because I totally forget who it was.
Okay, so someone who has a lot of love for that Sean Levy Pink Panther movie, yes, absolutely, she is.
Okay.
Here's the thing that seriously, that's an under everyone gets lost. To be fair, it's competing with the Blake Edwards, Peter Sellers Pink Panthers. Obviously, is the highest competition you could have. But as far as a remake goes, I think it's really watchable. I think it's really great, and it's plus Steve Martin's that's a lot of fun. It's not just a copy of the original, and Kevin Kline's in it. He plays Dreyfus.
So can we put Steve Martin on our Deadpool 3 bingo card now?
I would
because of the Sean Levy connection.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I wouldn't expect it, but
Imagine if he just shows up as the short shorts waiter dragon.
Oh my God! Come on.
During a romantic evening with Logan and Wade.
Have you seen some of the viral marketing they've been doing?
I've been trying to avoid it, honestly.
Well, not
I kind of want to go in as fresh as I can.
They did this Jack in the Box thing. It's pretty funny. Anyway, but I'm with you, Tiki. Though when I think of Beyonce, honestly, I think of those two roles for her. I think of Foxy Cleopatra. I think of the.
I feel like Foxy Cleopatra is the one role where she actually really kind of nailed it. I actually really like her in that role.
Well, I think it was probably my first introduction to her as well. And then there's her role in the Pink Panther.
How dare you forget Nala? How dare you forget Nala, Dragon?
I will always. She's always my least favorite part of any of it. Either version of that movie. I will always forget Nala. she ruined I think the Lion King would have had more stay power if we didn't have this whole thing where Nala comes back like, Simba, I'm going to exposit the whole movie to you and take you away from your fun friends. I'm going to bring the whole movie down.
All right, back to the episode after that brief tangent.
Anyway. So, anyway, so Static's an old guy, which is a funny line for him to say the Bruce Wayne of all people. I'm just going to note that. This is like, hey, I'm almost old enough to drive. And this Conroy is, yep, Static.
I like that. That's a contender for great content, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
All right, so Static, he was asking what's going on. He's like, wait, you're Bruce Wayne, but you're so old. No surprise, considering you hopscotched over 40 years. And that's another good line, too.
And let's face it, Conroy's on fire the whole episode.
He is. Let's see. So basically, now, I will admit, so in the writing, there is a bit of a hole I have with this episode here. We're really vague on how the time travel works. I know it's not important, so it doesn't hurt the episode, but just this one bit right here in this
very much a we don't care, as we already established. Oh my god, some sort of weird time warp thing. Woo, we don't care.
It just bothers me because the way Bruce makes it sound is that Static went missing, but clearly later on in the episode, Static has been around. Like, Bruce remembers when Static disappeared. Now, I don't know if that means like he knows when he came back, but he does. I think the only way to take it that it makes sense is that Bruce knows Static disappeared and then he came back like he does in this episode, but he doesn't know what the heck happened to Static, so he always remembered that this happened, so he would maybe be prepared for
right.
That's my guess. That's the only way it makes sense. I just feel the writing on that's like a little clunky. I don't think it's super clear. That's what I don't know.
Well, Dragon, we need to just go have a stern talking to with Mr. Stan Berkowitz, don't we?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, Tiki and Wrong podcast. We call out. Sorry, on finishing further recapping here. We call out the showrunners constantly. It's a running gag. We literally have a graphic for it. Like, no joke. We have this thing where we say Dan, Swampy, and then basically we, less him, less we, more I rant, the show creators. But yeah. Anyway, so getting back to this show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So we have Tiki. We have a slideshow.
I was just about to say something about that. Yes, slideshow, Cobra, exposition, Dragon. Oh my god, 3 words that sound really boring.
So again, this whole thing is like basically
because of the dynamic between the 3 characters.
So again, because this is Static Shock, we have to establish what the heck the Cobra organization is. So this, if you're gonna do it by way of slideshow, makes sense. So Cobra, snake worshipping terrorist cult. Cobra, they just took they took a prisoner in exchange. They took a prisoner. They want to exchange that prisoner for their leader. Static is interesting, kind of Static versus Batman here, where it's like, well, that sounds fair to me. Fair negotiating with criminals.
Yeah, for sure. It kind of goes to show how Bruce Wayne is just hardened over time, and I almost kind of feel like him and Static maybe got along better when he was younger, but now in this episode you can kind of tell, just especially with him and Terry together, he's just like, oh my god, I'm dealing with literal children.
Yep. Anyway, so Static makes Static's not in the wrong here. He's making a fair point. Well, we don't really have much of a choice. I do. Mm-hmm. So basically, we rescue the prisoner before the exchange, which, that's a good plan too. So basically, they mention that, okay, now admittedly in the writing here, we bolster Static a little too generously, in all fairness. Because the prisoner is one of our greatest heroes. They really talk up Static here. This is like, well, if he's so great, how did he end up getting caught by a bunch of snake guys? He's you, Virgil.
Yeah, that's fun. I feel like that's a good end of Act 1 bit, right? I feel like that's where end of Act 1 is. Yeah.
I concur. So Static's definitely enjoying the ego boost of all that. While he's, I love that he's throughout the whole series. I think maybe I'm trying to think of if we ever saw Max in the Batmobile with her. But when we did, I don't think there was a back seat. So it's the fact that it's the first time we're seeing a back seat. Static's is all really funny. Because think about it. we've never really seen a passenger really in the
No, you're right.
Batmobile. We've
It's one
only
of those things like you don't even really think about, but then when you see someone in the back seat, it's just kind of like, yeah, it's there. Sure, why not?
we've had Ace, and there's room for the dog. Now I just don't know if we've. I don't specifically. Max may have been there one time, maybe if at all. And if she was, she was like
Speaking of
kind of like it's
Max,
like
I would really like to see Max interact with Virgil. That'd be a fun pairing.
yeah, it would have been yeah, but again, only so much time.
Yeah.
We have snake people to establish, Tiki. We don't have time for Max.
We don't have time for the best supporting character in Batman Beyond.
No, no, we don't.
Yeah, I said it. I laid the gauntlet down on that.
All right, anyway.
That be Bernie. Because
Right.
apparently Ellen Burnett hates Max, according to Code Geass.
Well, more Bruce. Well, I guess kind of a cross between Alan Burnett and Bruce Timm, but yeah.
All right.
Anyway, what was I getting at? Oh yes. So again, so Stack's kind of like he's enjoying the ego boost here. Of course, Batman Terry here. He's not happy about this at all because he respects. So Terry respects.
Terry basically is like acting like the annoyed older brother who has to babysit in this episode.
So this is interesting. So the Terry that we're seeing in this episode. Now, mind you, again, time has passed, and this is what kind of lends credence to why we're covering this when we're covering it. Because the implication is that this is a Batman who has had more interactions with the Justice League, and we saw him, in the last season have his first interaction with the Justice League. So presumably, time has passed, and again, and we'll see this as we go into the other epilogue-y kind of stuff. Terry gets closer with the Justice League, and post season 3, so that's kind of where we're at here.
So we're definitely because obviously we're post Return of the Joker with the Tim Drake reference, but so this is very definitively post season.
Exactly, absolutely, without question.
That's good. That's
yet another with the whole this episode happening in 2004. It's way after Batman Beyond. Right. That's what I'm saying. There's still even when Batman Beyond wrapped up, everyone was still clamoring for it. So they found ways to fit Batman Beyond in there, given they had room for him in a few spots. So this is one of those few spots. Anyway, so in doing that, so the idea is he is crossed over with Static, presumably as a member or an affiliate of the Justice League.
All right.
So he has respect for Static because of his interactions with him off screen. But this, he's not so much, he's not so much the younger Static who's okay. Look, you're strictly backup. Stay in the car, and he's getting really irritated here. Which again is kind of
like lay out the whole time principle thing with him, where it's like if something happens to you, it can mess with everything else. Like basically the Back to the Future rules, where if you get killed in the future, you won't exist.
Yeah, we'll get killed in the past, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what's happening here. So basically, Terry's laying out the whole something bad happens to you here. What happens to the older version of you? You mean I can get axed? It's you mean I can get killed off? Let's not try any experiments.
So, I said, I really enjoy Terry kind of being put into babysitter mode in this episode. It's kind of a fun change up in the dynamic.
What's fun about that too is again Terry as he's becoming a more seasoned Batman,
exactly.
He is becoming more like Grumpy Bruce.
I feel like it is legitimate character development as much as we can get in a show like this.
So Stack's asking, yes. In addition to that, Stack's asking about Robin, and we name drop the whole. He's a civilian now again, post Return of the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the league, they're off on Alpha Centauri. That's again, we set up that again Terry keeps tabs on the Justice League.
Yeah.
And Gear, Static's sidekick, his buddy, his partner, he is on the other side of the globe right now.
Now, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but it annoys me that Richie has a superhero sidekick named Dragon.
Well, why?
Because he doesn't need one. I feel like he's happy. He's like the Happy Hogan of Static Shock. I feel like Iron Bodyguard for Happy Hogan. I don't know. I just feel like we don't need Richie is just such a fleshed out character in his own right. I almost kind of feel like, and this was in later seasons of Static, right? I feel like we've had this conversation before.
Yeah, that's the thing. So season 1, Richie was exactly kind of the Happy Hogan. He was on the sidelines. He was he was the guy in the chair. He was.
No, look, I'm not saying that Richie shouldn't get involved in the action. I'm just saying Gear is just a lame name. All right, let's just call a spade here, Dragon. It's a lame superhero name.
Well, it's
All
the fact that he's in a costume, Tiki. He can't just call himself Richie.
right. I know. I don't know.
Well, he always built like the technology. I always liked the name Gear and everything for him. I don't know. I thought it was nice.
All right, fair enough.
All right, anyway. Well, I don't disagree with you there. Static should be the focus. So technically, we don't. Again, it's playing by the Batman Robin rules that we had in the animated series. Where look, the Batman solo episodes kind of were better and had more stay power. But when Robin was there, still a lot of good stuff happening. You know. Okay, so now this is fun, and of course the dearly departed Dwayne McDuffie, who was very key in the creation of Static. If memory serves, he was. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure McDuffie created Static. I know because there's Milestone was very much collective, so it's kind of hard to snuff to kind of determine who was responsible for what. Because I think it was either Dennis Cowan or it was Dwayne McDuffie, but I'm pretty sure it was Dwayne McDuffie created the comic for Static, and he wasn't as involved in the show as you would think. But he was in the DC. He was working on Justice League and stuff, so he was kind of around. So we kind of had a little like they consulted him on some of the Static animated stuff. The point being Dwayne McDuffie creating Static and having a lot to do with Static created the impetus for this line here, where Batman's working through all the stuff like their Gear's there, Justice League's there, and your son, my what? Static in the comics has a son, Larry Hawkins. So
that's can we just acknowledge that's an amazing name? I don't know why I think that's an amazing name. I just do.
Yeah, in the comic, Static has a son and a daughter. I'm blanking on in the future. It's like this one story set in the future. So there's Larry Hawkins and
I just love how average of a name that is for Static's son.
Yeah, well, again, McDuffie, man, he had very ideas that just kind of like flowed like butter.
What can I say? I'm a Three Stooges man.
All right. So Terrence, there's a lot of surprises in store for you. I'm not going to spoil any more. So then the two go undercover.
Can we just acknowledge, Dragon? I really think this episode crams a lot into 20 minutes as far as like the crossover stuff, because we're not even at the halfway point of the episode. We've already had quite a bit, and we just had a line that's essentially like, oh boy, there's so much more to come.
I think it's really impressive. We get the last 3 minutes of this episode, all the stuff that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But fun little detail, Will Friedle. You'll notice before they really get into things, honestly, if memory serves, even through the duration of the episode, he's not really doing the Terry McGinnis voice. He's still doing the Batman voice while looking like Terry McGinnis.
Yeah, I did notice that. And also, I kind of feel like that could be a character development thing where as time has gone on, he's kind of like in the Batman persona more and more.
Yeah, it's kind of become the whole Bruce, kind of the Bruce Wayne, kind of dual identity kind of thing.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so we see them like there's like an attempt at bonding here, where like Terry's asking like how Bruce was in the past, taller. All right, so they're in the civilian clothes, and he's kind of giving them a lay of the land, like we see like a splicer, and of course we reestablish the splicing for the Static audience who may not know what the heck a splicer is or why we have dinosaur snake guys later.
I mean, to be fair, it is kind of like a big piece of Batman Beyond world building that's just kind of like out of nowhere if you don't know what it is.
So that's why we have like the mention of like, oh yeah, splicing. It's illegal.
Isn't it kind of funny how the Static has boom babies and then
bang babies.
We have the splicing, and it's kind of funny how both shows have like, yeah, we got our own weird form of mutants that are running around. They serve different purposes in the plot, but
well, that's true. But literally, Statics are like pretty much mutants, and also bang babies.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, my bad.
You were thinking Emperor's New Groove with boom baby.
God, that probably was what I was thinking.
That's absolutely what you were thinking. But
right.
Yeah. Anyway, so I like this though. Kind of gives you a little taste of Gotham here in the future. That splicing's illegal, but the cops are busy, which that does summarize Gotham to a T.
Totally.
Anyway, so reestablish again. We reestablished that for the Cobra Goons that we're going to see later. Let's see. So he instructs Static to stay in this corner. Just so you try not to erase your own future, would you? All right, let's see. Meanwhile, at the prison, we have a deep, we have the leader who's being prepared for prisoner exchange.
Mhm.
And of course, he's just loving it. That hey, wait, did we get one of yours? This is who was it? It was a Wonder Woman. Was it the Lantern? Then of course, he says, was it was it Static? And he tells him to be quiet, and that's like the tip off. Like, oh, it was Static.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I do think that one of the points of this episode that I can give it, like, or I can take away from it, I should say, is this guy's kind of a lame villain. He's just kind of whatever. But like I said, I will say at the very least he does go full ham at the end. And also he is a little bit menacing with this kind of wordplay that he has. I just kind of think that he doesn't really have a lot of presence outside of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he doesn't have much to him. I'll give him that. We kind of basically we make him in kind of like the terrorists from True Lies, essentially. Oh, look, he can fly a plane when it's handy.
Right.
That's about it. Okay, let's see. So, okay. The point being, there's a person transfer. It's about to happen. Meanwhile, Terry sees that Virgil's gone. And he gets upset when he sees that Virgil's been he's been kind of hiding. Doing what he said, but he also found a lead. Found someone with information on Cobra. Now, of course, sadly, Virgil didn't really. Admittedly, Virgil, I think, should have known better that this random guy on the street would know about Cobra.
Mm-hmm.
Not only this random guy on the street, but getting a good look at this random guy on the street.
Okay, so I will say that this whole thing with the Jokers it kind of almost feels like a time filler. And
Yeah.
I'm totally with you that I think that Virgil has way more street smarts than this.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, come on, you know who they're themed to, Virgil. I mean, come on. So I just love this whole, like, well, maybe he's the guy. Just fat chance that a random Joker is like a Penny Annie Joker is gonna know is gonna know what this terrorist organization's up to.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's funny. You look at it again. We brought back a few designs. It's an old trope in animation called the model dump, where we use models from other shows. In this case, we use kind of the older Joker's designs from season 1. We've kind of recycled a bit here and there. Again, and yet J-Man and Scab, the fun kind of our fun kind of leader ones, they've been retired. We're not bringing them back, mainly because
I feel like that makes sense because they have such big presences that. If they were there, you would kind of wonder why they weren't doing more.
Well, the reason I'm sure J-Man's not there is that Bruce Timm wasn't there for this episode. That's why, because he voiced J-Man.
Oh.
Anyway, so, it's, the two of them fight, a little fight going on here. Virgil's like, he's not worried about clowns until one of them throws an acid pie, which that's a good gag.
It is a cool visual gag, I'll give it that.
So, they're throwing like these metal bola slinky springs, and Virgil, polarizes them, so he kind of goes back on them. And we have like the joy buzzer move, which is fun here. Still, though, was much better when he used it on the actual Joker in the first, Static Batman crossover. Anyway, now this was great, though. I do love this. They dropped they had this place rigged with a giant anvil to drop on somebody, so they drop it into Static, just grabs it.
That is fun. Yeah,
I just love the fact they would have a giant.
the Joker's always the one thing with the Jokers is that a lot of times they are just kind of there to, like, we need an obligatory second act action scene. But I feel like they've always the Batman Beyond crew, and by extension the Static Shock crew in this case, they've always kind of really gone out of their way to at least make the fights fun.
It's one of the truths of Batman. Batman hates clowns. That's just like the truth of life. It's always fun to see a man of bats who beat up a clown. And one could say the deeper truth is that Batman hates the circus, which is why he just saw that poor kid's. It was in the circus life, and he took him away from that just to protect him from showbiz.
Okay, well now you're getting all-star Batman and Robin on me.
It just came to me in the moment. I just wanted to throw that out there. Maybe Batman does hate the circus maybe that's why he saved Robin. He's less saving him from the mob, more saving him from, no,
come with me. I've been watching him for a while.
Well, okay, maybe not. Maybe not that far. Just think more like in Mullen. Come, circus boy, let me save you from this clowny cult. Let me
I
save you.
still want to see a fucking animated version of All Star Batman and Robin that just goes all in on the just basically being like a deconstruction of Batman as like a masculine figure. I want to see it, Dragon.
Well, Tiki, right now the only way that's going to happen is if James Gunn okays it, because that's where with that movie they our commenters brought up earlier, Kevin Conroy's last performance. That's the end of like kind of like the non James Gunn approved animated DC films for a while.
Okay, well, honestly, I feel like if anyone's going to approve a batshit crazy premise like that, we're probably more likely to get it from James Gunn. So make it happen.
Yep.
Just animate it like purely in that kind of like the Frank Miller Batman style. Oh man.
Oh, speaking of which, Bob, I'm just gonna shout this out. I'm dying for this to stream somewhere. Frank Miller has a documentary out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's about all about Frank Miller.
I'm sure Linkara is fucking thrilled.
Oh, I mean, he's got to be over the moon. He's got to be eating. He's going to be chewing on his hat.
Oh my god. Anyways,
his brown hat.
Yes, Dragon, his brown hat.
He's going to be chewing on his brown hat. Anyway, so Terry, speaking of which, Terry chews out the very cocky Static here, who just doesn't realize that all the mistakes that he just made.
Yeah, and again, I do think it's the weakest moment of the episode, just because I really do think Static should have known better. Honestly, I feel like Static at the start of his own show is a little bit more street smart than Terry is at the start of his show, so I don't really buy it.
Yeah, it very much we just want to differentiate young Static from old Static, and it feels like we overstepped on that one. But yeah. Static sent them on a wild goose chase, and they missed their contact. So this isn't good at all. And we're doing some kind of 48 hours team up kind of stuff here. Like, oh man, they really don't like each other. Terry's just in disbelief. This is who Static grew up to be. This kid becomes such a great hero like Static. Which again, we're really overhyping. Like, man, Static's he's better than Superman. Who? Forget that guy.
I don't.
Yeah. Let's see Superman ride a disc. Anyway.
I mean, he can certainly fly through rings. Does that count for anything?
No, he's got to fly on the rings, Tiki. It's got to be circular, and it's got to be flat.
Fair enough.
All right. So,
Cobra, so we get a little bit of a prison break here.
Yeah, we have like the prison convoy, Cobra Hydra style, has intercepted, and they break the leader out. The little leader hijacks a plane, and he wants Static.
I do like him going like kind of Spider-Man style on the bridge, underneath the bridge.
Uh-huh.
All right.
All right, so Terry calls Bruce Wayne. And
here we go. Here's the great Conroy stuff, Dragon. Right here. Right here.
So basically, you see Bruce is interacting where he thinks Terry's calling with something important. He says, "You got to get this kid off my back." And Static, and this is adorable. Static again with the bickering brothers thing. Static then like uses his powers to basically like patch himself into the comm link. Mm-hmm. Back like almost like he's giving like a static noogie or something.
Right.
So he's patching himself through. I saved his butt. Yeah, he needs me. So this is great. So Bruce Wayne, I think in combination with the reaction you're talking about, but also just this, it's very much kind of this Cobra Kai, Johnny Lawrence, like quiet, and like quiet. Just yelling at him he yells at him to be quiet, like quiet.
But I guess the quiet definitely seals it for me as a great Conroy moment. But can we just please talk about like right afterwards, like they keep bickering and just. Mm-hmm. He almost does like a Picard forehead move.
Well, he does the face palm practically.
Yeah,
practically. His hand on his brow, like, oh, God. So basically, he exposits that the leader escaped, and they don't need Static anymore, which is bad, which means they're going to kill him. Mm-hmm. So what now? And this is great. Actually, he does have a line here. Dig what he does. He says like, "I'm thinking." So there you go.
There we go.
Yeah,
I just think this whole exchange is great Conroy worthy, honestly.
Yeah, right. But the whole thing of like I'm thinking, just like God. Anyway, so okay, now this again. I hate dogging on the Burke man. I'll dog on Rich Foley Rich Fogel all the live long day. Not Rich Foley. He's the actual Richie from Static. No, Rich Fogel. Um, but the travel time to factor in here, it makes you have to wonder like how far Dakota is from Gotham.
Yeah, I didn't really even think about it, but you do
Because
have a point.
that's the thing. Static's going all the way to his like for his lead that he's chasing. He's going back to the gas station. Which means he has to fly all the way from Gotham, which we very clearly start in, to Dakota. And and then they're going to end up going back. I mean, I guess the Batmobile could travel that fast. I don't know if Static can though.
Right, right. Also,
Right.
they probably would have to fuel up at some point.
Yeah, probably. Well, then again, I mean, Static could charge it potentially with energy.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Maybe does that later with the Batsuit, which is pretty cool. Does it kind of like Avengers style, Iron Man, and Thor, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Batman follows Static to the gas station. Again, all the way in Dakota. Batman and Static, they bicker and then discover the retinal scanner as they're like talking about, oh, it's this gas station. This is your place. You like to come. You come to things. Look, we can't all have a Wayne Manor. Anyway, so he sees the scanner, and they discover the gas station's been upgraded. It's a cool upgraded lair.
It's basically like the Batcave from The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Pretty much the Bat Bunker. It's a lot like the Bat Bunker.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anyway, so
I wonder if the Frank Miller documentary will gloss over his infamous comics.
I would hope not.
I honestly think Holy Terror. There's a lot of kind of like introspection you could do about that, and I feel like he himself has spoken on that.
I just really want to talk about the infamy and like how people are not crazy about his work, like Dark Knight Strikes Again. That's what I really want to see him talk about.
I want to see what his thought process was for All-Star Batman and Robin.
That's what I'm saying. I want him to really dig in.
I find that work endlessly fucking fascinating.
It's like those are the two I really want him to dig in. Those are like his two most infamous Batman works. I want him to talk about that. Man, I know I definitely want
actually, because obviously he used "I'm the goddamn Batman" as far as like he kept referencing it. But how did he really feel about how big of a meme that became? Stuff like that. Anyways,
it's a good question.
Okay, and he also Kogias also points out that Magneto writes on discs.
Yeah.
So yeah, it points there. Anyways,
there you go.
All right.
Okay, so anyways, they're at the gas station. They're in the lair and they discover the shock box, which has now been upgraded with hologram capabilities. Okay, now again, yet another thing in the writing here. We have answering machine messages in Batman Beyond, but there are not a lot of them. But it's not like it would be like a foreign thing of it's this thing they had back in the day called answering machines.
Right.
It's a bit of a stretch. But
I do think it was a cute note that the whole that Richie's message like ended with the standard at the time answering machine message.
So we reveal. So basically, Gear left the message, but Static realizes. Wait a minute. Everyone knows that the real Gear, was on the other side of the world. Yeah, old Bruce Wayne knew this. It was only the people that really knew this.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, old man Static wouldn't know this. Old Static wouldn't know this. So basically, they kind of predicted AI here. They faked it. They did an AI of Gear.
Oh God!
Like the actual AI, not the other AI thing, but like the whole. Anyway. Or they got fine. They deep faked it. Happy. They deep faked Gear.
I will never be happy about that.
Well, I don't think anyone's happy about it, Tiki. Anyway, so they do this to trap Static, platform 247, which is their new lead.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Let's see. So the leader he's returned. He's spliced himself. So now he's all snake. We see how snake-like he can be. And let's see.
And this
So
is what I'm talking about, like as far as like if they wanted to update the snake thing in the Aladdin remake, this would be a cool way to do it, right?
I mean, you want arms on the snake?
Well, I'm saying like if they want to update it, like if they don't want it to just straight up turn into a snake, I think basically like Killer Croc in the form of a snake is a cool kind of like idea. Like I do kind of like this. This mixed with just the scale of the Cobra army going forward in this act. It's like the one time I'm actually on board. Like, okay, these Cobra guys, they're kind of cool, honestly, in definitely like a '60s Batman kitschy sort of way. But I don't know.
Here's the thing. I think honestly the way they did the Cobra splicing here, I think worked a lot better than Curse of the Cobra.
That's what I'm
Look at it
saying.
here.
I absolutely think so.
When
Yeah,
the leader splices himself, he's still human, but he has like some snake-like accents to him. That's the
exactly.
difference. However, you see some of the henchmen; they're still leftover reused designs from Curse of the Cobra. So the henchmen are designed like the weird dinosaur Cobra guys, but the leader, though, that's what you should aim for. If they
Mhm.
did that, would have been a lot better. If they did that with a Jafar, I mean, it'd probably be better than than giant parrots. Just like how bird-like he can be. Someone should do a recut of that whole thing where it's like Gilbert Gottfried, as Iago, just kind of like
Oh God!
shouting as he's pursuing Aladdin.
I'm gonna get ya!
I want a cracker now,
Oh my God, that's great.
Jafar. Anyway, okay.
Or
So,
just reset it to Gilbert Gottfried's aristocrats joke.
well, that'd be too scary. And they're on the floor. And he says to the executive, that's the aristocrats.
Oh man. All right, moving
Well,
on.
yes, he says, what do you call this? So he says, what do you call this act? The aristocrats. Anyway, so we reveal so Batman Stack they've arrived on the floating military ghost town base. This is kind of very GI Joe. Again, we keep working the GI Joe references with Cobra, which is funny. So it's like a giant helicarrier base essentially. That's
I
the
mean, they
idea.
know what they're doing.
Of course, yeah. Anyway, so Static is being held in a stasis field, which is like kind of disrupts his powers, so he can't escape. The plan. What's the? Now we have some bonding, kind of our buddy movie kind of dynamic between young Static and Terry here. It's like go down there and fight real hard. That's what I was thinking.
Mhm.
I don't even have a mentor. Okay, so we get some action here. A little fight going on here. They're battling some leftover Dino men, left and right. Then we see Static. He's in the stasis field. We eventually free this guy. The leader thinks Static's like a clone or like a mini Static. He's kind of taunting him there. Static energizes the bat suit, and there's a little neat bit there. He kind of like gives him some extra oomph in the suit when he's punching baddies.
Like you said, very Iron Man Thor.
Yeah, yeah. Which again, I'm always so happy that we actually paid that off in Endgame because there's always that missed opportunity of Iron Man falls out of the portal and the arc reactor goes dim. You think, okay, well, it's the matchstick moment from Toy Story. He's gonna light the rocket. He's gonna light the rocket. He's gonna energize the. He's gonna give Iron Man a little battery, a little jump start there.
Mhm.
But no, his Hulk just yells and wakes Iron Man up. In Endgame though, we're fighting Thanos. He fires it right into like a little portal on the back and like tri beam on Thanos. Pretty nice. Okay. So, so they take out some bunch of Cobra forces there. Some single. Anyway, so sorry. Old Static is awakened. He emerges from the stasis field. He's really awesome, and he basically takes out all of the Cobra forces single handedly.
Mhm.
Well, what do you think,
Honestly,
Old
dare I
Static?
say, I honestly think Old Static in this episode is kind of like he has a little bit of Luke Skywalker in the Mandalorian season 2 vibes with him.
Yeah, yeah, he does.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
All right.
So let's see. Okay, so yeah, so we kind of wrap things up in a nice little bow, thanks to Old Static. He says, "You see, you see the resemblance." Basically, Terry now sees the resemblance a little bit between young Static and Old Static, and it's like, yeah, I could see you growing into that guy. He's kind of grown to like the younger Static.
Mhm.
And this is a nice bit where Static has. I have so many questions, and I love how minimal the response is here from Old Static. She's like, "Everything's going to be fine. Just believe in yourself."
I mean, it's so freaking corny, but it totally works.
Yeah. So Static, because of this, now I want to say it's kind of like a Speed Force thing, almost like with the Flash, where if you have two people with the same power, like from those
That's kind
different
of how
kind of,
I read it.
yeah, that's you can read it as like well, literally we know Gear actually. Well, okay, in all fairness, we know that Gear is responsible for bringing them back, but I don't know. I think in a cosmic sense, it might be a Speed Force thing. You never
Mhm.
know. Maybe I'm just saying, of all the time, literally right then and there when he finds him, I think that at least helped Gear pinpoint him. I'd like to think
Right, exactly. Yeah.
because he's in a different place in time. At least he's in a different place. He's not in the Batcave again. Okay, so Static returns. Gear fixed the device, brought him all back, and we have kind of this Wizard of Oz beat at the end here. So it's like, I went to the future, and you were there, and you weren't there, and then we have old Bruce here. It's like, oh, Batman, you were like, I'd rather not know. Well, at least you have all your hair.
That was fun. That a contender for a great Conroy moment. And you know what? I don't know, Drake. Honestly, the more I think, do you want to make that a great Conroy moment just because it's a throwback?
Well, the line would be the Great Commoner line would be, I'd rather not know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, I'll co-sign it, if you
All
want.
right,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
Throwback
Okay.
Conroy moment.
Yeah. All right. So then we have this bit where it's he's Gear's there, and he says like, oh, and by the way, Gear, we kind of glazed over this earlier when we saw Gear of the future in the hologram. Gear's he's put on some pounds.
Which I feel very called out by, Dragon. I'm just gonna say.
Are you saying you feel triggered by this?
No, I feel called out.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right. Anyway, so this is he warns kind of warns about Gear, lay off the fries, would you?
Kind of
And
a
yeah.
weird, kind of a funny but weird note to end the episode out on, but still a solid one. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, Dragon, I feel like this episode really accomplished a lot in 20 minutes. It's a nice kind of a kind of tone setter, or not a tone setter, but it's a refresh after the end of season 3, and I know that we're going to be getting into some bigger stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it on that level. Definitely a fun crossover.
Yeah. It's always fun seeing Batman and Static team up. Look, if I'm being honest, of the 3 Static crossovers of Batman, well, technically there's a fourth. I'm thinking of the season premiere thing. So there's that, and then there's the Justice League crossover. So there's 4. But again, it was very minimal Batman that crossover, which is why we didn't really talk about it. Point being, it's I still think Big Leagues is like the one of the ones. That was a really good Batman Static crossover, but this is fun though, and I think rewatching it, because this is one I probably along with the Justice League one was probably the one I went to fewest. I went back to the least amount of times compared to the other the first 2 Static crossovers, but it's I had a lot of nice surprises in it when I went back to it. Again, like that cold open. I love how we're kind of hitting our notes there, and again, just having gone through the journey of re-experiencing Batman Beyond, I think it's added some layers to it. So it was fun. It was fun, and again, like Cobra stuff's, I think it's solid enough. Cobra's
Yeah.
again never really been kind of wavery, but it was a solid episode and a good crossover. And it's fun to see kind of Static interact with Batman. I really like the component of we're seeing kind of the progression between in the middle of seasons, so to speak, between Batman Beyond season 3 and kind of where we're going next. So I think that's pretty cool.
And where we're going next is pretty exciting from everything that you've told me. All right, so really quick, big thanks to Kogias, Little Blue, and Wart Monarch for joining us in the comments this evening. Dragon, tee us up.
A journey through time. Batman in the Old West. Marital discourse and relationship woes. Can Batman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern stop crime on the rise in Frontierland? Will there be a familiar scarred face waiting for them? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bad time, same animated bad place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with The Once and Future Thing Part 1, Weird Western Tales. Hold on to your hats and glasses, folks, because this here's the weird